Welcome to another video. I kind of have had a bit of an aggravating morning, and so of course, when that happens, my brain kind of all over the place. So certain things have been kind of on my mind lately, and I'll try to keep it focused to just one thing this time. And it's not necessarily rings of power to say, but but of course, it falls into that line. One of the things that has been really fascinating at this time is how just blind. I think that's kind of like the kindest thing. How blind these corporations are to what they're doing. There's just the absolute failures. Now, I will still maintain because I can't imagine, I can't imagine they don't know these things are fair. But I don't know. Like it is a very strange thing. So going back to the article about the viewership being low on the Rings of Power, and one of the fascinating things about how for Jennifer Salke, you know, the woman in charge there at Amazon Prime, how for her, you know, you can basically sum it up to no, 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 it's a success. And anyone who says it's not a success is just lying because you know I don't know that I necessarily I watched the interview that the is she the marketing VP at at Bud Light, the beer company that's now in a bit of a pickle for their sponsorship. It's the so anyway, because it's not a beer that I drink, so I could be bothered to care fully about. But you know, the conversations that they have, that in their minds, and it kind of, you know, it's kind of really a significant. Fortunately, this kind of seems to be a lot of women that are causing the problem, but it is this, it is this kind of willful blindness, I guess I can say, where they just, I don't know, like, to not make this video, bad and full of silence and what. I just, I'm baffled a bit. Like I said, I've seen some of their interviews, I've seen some of their faces, and I've seen how their words don't really compute to them. Their actions don't compute to them. These things are happening around. They're getting all these criticisms. The things that they're doing, the tactics they're using are not working because I would put Kathleen Kennedy as well in this. You're doing all of this, you're doing all this work, and they really believe they are bringing these brands back. Like they think that they're bringing these brands back. They think that they are doing something truly amazing. They're like Kathleen Kennedy she is set on turning Star Wars into a female centric thing. You know, Rings of Power. They honestly believe that no one can enjoy Tolkien's work unless they fill it with a bunch of modern things. And not modern things that are good, but identity politics that no one's really interested in their entertainment. You know, and like same thing would be for Bud Light at this point. They really want you to believe that the whole world, and like I know a lot of it has to do with the places these people come from. Certainly that Hollywood world, that elitist world, they don't have any that gives them pushback. So they all tend to believe the same thing. And that, I mean, it very much is damaging. Like, it's very much damaging, entertainment and culture as it is. But at the same, like, there's no, it's literally the period on that. It is absolutely destroying arts and entertainment as it is. It is taking things that people have enjoyed, that people have always enjoyed, and say that it is now bad because they themselves don't like the format and the look, you know. Because I remember, I remember in the early days of Disney taking over Star Wars, and that complaint being that they couldn't find women writers for Star Wars, and they wanted this writing room full of women. They could easily find men, but they just were having such a hard time finding women. And of course, the answer is, but of course you would have a hard time finding women. Women traditionally aren't interested in Star Wars the same way that the men were, because it wasn't really a female property. And that's not to say that women didn't enjoy it. I quite enjoy Star Wars, but you get my drift. There are certain things that are not. There are certain things that have their main core audience. Like the things that you see going on with Dungeons and Dragons, and um, I'm forgetting the name of. Oh yeah, Magic the Gathering, which is a game that I tried for a little bit, but I don't like a lot of the identity politics that have been going on. So, it's kind of like it's kept me from wanting to get into it. And I think that's kind of like the part that kind of fascinates a lot. They think that they think that they're being inclusive. They keep talking about diversity and inclusion, and they keep talking about these things. But you literally now have with Wizards of the Coast and their Dungeons and Dragons series, where they're now saying that you know having like half breeds is now a problem. And so, essentially, like, and they're treating it like it really is a problem. So we're getting rid of it. There will now no longer be half elves or half orcs or half this or half that. And and the irony is it's really going over their heads that you are essentially telling, mixed people, because there's a fair number of mixed people, you're not really welcome in Dungeons and Dragons because we don't think you should exist because it's kind of a problem, that race mixing. But they don't see that that's the message that's come forward. They just think that, oh, see, we're doing this good thing. And I mean, they're not. They're not. And I think that's why I am finding this so fascinating, because I tend to think of myself as being somewhat of a logical person. And so, like, there are times where it's like I call it like having, a whiteboard. And so sometimes in my mind, it's like I imagine myself standing at this whiteboard and I'm trying to put this equation up there and I'm trying to solve it, and I'm really trying to figure it out, because with this Hollywood thing and this, and the sheer, and because it's not just like, this has been over a fair number of years at this, that I've been looking at this, that I've been dealing with this, and it and it hasn't changed. And views have gone low, and people haven't liked things, and shows have gotten canceled, and and all these things that you would normally, in your right mind, would turn the ship around and try to give something different. You know, I praised Sonic when they listened to the audience and they changed the look of Sonic the Hedgehog. And I actually did like the movie because it was a cute little movie that you could tell was for kids, and it was what it was, and it was entertaining for that purpose, you know. And then you look at things like Rings of Power, where if you say something about, the look and feel of it, about how it's not Middle Earth and how it doesn't give you that feel of Tolkien, and if you share your actual concerns about how they're not actually following the material, because I would challenge it. I haven't read the appendices in I haven't read the appendices in a very long time, but I would challenge that they're not even really listening to that. So here we are with so here we are where they're so not following the word, and yet their answer, instead of correcting it, is to just call you racist, and that be the answer. Or you are patently evil, as the showrunners called fans that didn't like Rings of Power. And now you sit here and the truth has come out that, yeah, only 37% in the US actually finished Rings of Power that first season. And so here we are, like your main audience. Like, would you call your main audience? Because your main audience are those people that gave it a chance. I would be your main audience if I trusted in the first place. Because it is. I listened to those buzzwords. When they talked about how, like, the moment they said they are fans of Tolkien, I knew they weren't. The moment they said their answer was always to go back to the book, go back to the book, go back to the book, I knew they didn't read a single word of it. I'm not, like I said, I've been dealing with this for a number of years now. I've seen this go through comics. I've seen this now games. I've seen this. I see what they're trying to do with anime and manga. I'm this kind of entertainment, this kind of thing. I'm not surprised about. I would say for even longer, because I have been an avid reader for a very long. And so, yes, there's quite a lot that has gone on, in this arts and entertainment world that I really have not enjoyed. So, yeah, it is fascinating. And I mean, overall, other than to, sit here and kind of present the question, so to speak, I didn't really have much to say because, like I said, I find it an interesting equation because it goes back to, you know, these things are failures. Your works are failures. Why can't you just acknowledge that it's a failure? Because acknowledging a failure is the best way to help you grow. And yet these people refuse to acknowledge that they are actual failures. So, you know, because I don't seem to have an answer for that. And like, I mean, I can say that they are obviously true believers of, their ideology, and they clearly are, because you can look at their face and they are they're serious when they say the things that they say. So they're very serious when they say it. They're very serious when they say that the problem with things, the problem with media is that there's not enough diversity and inclusion. They are serious. They think that marketing works because they continue to do it. So obviously there's something inside of them that tells them that that as a marketing tool actually works. I mean, and it doesn't. So I just I feel like, where's the numbers guy? I watched like in the early days of Disney Plus, because my mother was paying for it, because of course, she's thinking, oh, the grandkid. And it's sort of like you don't even see your grandkids for you to be paying for Disney Plus. But whatever, they had the Imagineers kind of documentary series, and they were talking about they were talking about the Disney brothers, and how you know, for them, you had Walt, who was such a dreamer, and he knew what he wanted, and he wanted what he wanted. And then you had his brother, who was, the numbers guy, and his job was to, kind of make the numbers happen for it. And we kind of have lost out on that aspect, where it's the thing of, sometimes the ideas guy has to be pulled back a bit. But at the same time, it's also with creativity. I think one of the biggest problems with Hollywood today is that it's not really full of people who have actual creativity. It's full of people who are creatively bankrupt. And that bankruptcy, unfortunately, is very much killing the industry. So when it falls, because the point is, it will fall, because at some point, like at some point, they will not be able to find the money to pay for projects that are inherently designed to fail all them. So at some point it will fail if they will continue to if they continue to refuse to course correct. At some point they will fail. And that just is, that just is reality, because you know there's only so much turning off your brain that you can, sort of thing. So yeah, I find it fascinating, and I could probably talk for hours once I get going, as I try to figure out the missing parts of the equation so that it can be solved. But it this is kind of one of those, that because there's that human element, because there's that human element, because there is that need for the humans involved to understand their own failing. It's gonna be a very difficult thing for them to accept, because I think that at this point, the hubris they have, the like yeah, the hubris they have makes them incapable. It makes them incapable. They're Because it's just ego, and it makes them incapable of course correct. Because why should they have to course correct? Why can't people just call them brilliant? Because all their yes men around them call them brilliant. And so, obviously, us dumb regular folk, we just don't get it. And so, yeah, I kind of like the theory that young Grip of 59 talked about, you know, um, where he was kind of presenting it. They kind of see it as, we as the audience to be worthy of their product. And I do think that that kind of is the thing. Like, when you listen to, especially in Rings of Power, when you listen to them talk, there is kind of this thing that, they kind of believe that they are high on this mountain, that the they are the intelligent, they are the creative one. They are better than everyone else. They're certainly better than Tolkien, because they can write a better story than Tolkien could ever have written. That's clear from Rings of Power, that they know better than even the man who created that world. They know better than him. They are better than him. And that means they are better than you that like his. And so, in order for you to be worthy of coming up to their mountain to be able to view their show, you have some work to do. And so you have to change you so that you can do what they want you to do, so that you can then be worthy of the show. And then when you are worthy of the show, you too will know that they are absolutely brilliant. And so, yeah, I guess I'll kind of leave it there. With that, because that's kind of a good place, even for my mind. That's kind of a good place to be. So, yeah, that's it for this video. Uh, Thank you for listening. If you made it this far in, um, yeah, that's kind of it, right? So do all the things that YouTube likes to do, and I will see you on the next video. Bye.